Racing with François Cevert was nothing short of fantastic. He was adored by everyone. His striking looks and charming personality made him someone who could easily have been a film star. Beyond his charisma, he had all the makings of a world champion, a natural talent, determination, and the right attitude. One day, I had a moment of realization that tragedy could strike anyone, even a driver as talented as François. It was one of those accidents you never want to witness. I had been following François' journey in racing since his early days in Formula 2 and into Formula 1. He was close to his sister, Jacqueline, who was one of the prettiest girls in the paddock. At the time, he was courting her, and that was another reason we all paid attention to him. I remembered the race at Reims where François managed to win, even though I felt it was a race I should have taken. It was that performance that caught the attention of Ken Tyrrell, who ultimately decided to put François in our Formula 1 team. I had my reservations initially because François entered F1 with only 2 seasons of racing experience. When you compared him to the other rookies that year, drivers like Ronnie Peterson and others, they had been racing karts and bikes for over a decade. His initial performances were underwhelming, and at times he seemed a bit out of his depth. Ken would often ask me to take François out for some practice laps. He'd say, "Jackie, let's help him get up to speed." I would lead him around the track, allowing him to follow my lines, brake points, and acceleration patterns. The progression took time, almost 3 years, but that's how racing development works. Everyone grows at their own pace. I had studied drivers like Jim Clark, who was a tremendous influence on my career. François was learning from me, just as I had learned from others. He was a quick study, absorbing everything. When I arrived in the team, I was a bit reckless, driving without enough analysis or thought. Jackie Stewart was the one who stopped me from that chaotic approach, teaching me to think critically about the car and the race. François learned from Jackie too, and he was more than willing to play second fiddle to me until Jackie decided to retire. However, François struggled with his confidence, especially because he was unable to match my pace at times. Still, by the time of his tragic accident, he had developed into a driver ready to take on the world. Everyone admired him, not just for his driving skills, but for who he was as a person. His charm and humility won over fans and teammates alike. On the Friday of that fatal weekend during practice, I had a moment of levity when I spun my car at 200 miles per hour and laughed about it, joking with friends about the incident. But the very next day, just ahead of me, François tragically lost his life. That day, I couldn't sleep, as the reality of racing and its risks loomed large. François was a focused driver, deeply committed to his beliefs. He had a unique approach to life. For instance, he refused to attend funerals, believing they were places filled with negativity. Throughout 1970, it was a pivotal moment for him, showcasing his talent and resolve under fire. François had a zest for life that was infectious. He was glamorous and loved to enjoy every moment, whether it was socializing or indulging in his passions, like classical music. He was an accomplished pianist, and that artistic side added depth to his character. He was also a proud owner of a plane, and we traveled a lot together, further cementing our friendship. When it came to racing, the Nürburgring was undoubtedly the most challenging track. During my last year there, François followed closely behind me. There will always be questions about whether he could have overtaken me, especially since we had a significant lead. Our relationship as teammates was built on trust and camaraderie. François frequently stayed at my home, and my family loved. Ken had a conversation with me just before the Grand Prix, suggesting that if we found ourselves running together, I should consider letting him pass for the win. It would be a momentous occasion. Unfortunately, during qualifying, he made a small error at a tricky part of the circuit, which led to the horrific accident. When François died, it felt like a crushing blow to everyone in the paddock. I was the last to reach the crash site, and witnessing it was horrific. The shock was overwhelming, leaving me filled with anger and grief. I had never seen anything like it, and I remember driving back to the pits, overwhelmed with emotions. I threw my helmet in frustration, something I had never done before. François was taken back to France and we all attended his funeral. Shortly after his passing, I made the difficult decision to announce my retirement. I felt it was time to prioritize my family and their well-being over my racing career. My children and my wife Helen were the most important aspects of my life, and I wanted to ensure their happiness and safety. In retrospect, I want François to be remembered for his charm, his talent, and the way he embraced life. He was a first-class friend, and I couldn't have asked for a better teammate. I would have loved to see him dominate the races in the following season, fulfilling his potential and achieving the greatness he deserved. That's all for today's video. See you in the next one. Till then, stay safe, be happy. Bye-bye.